Okay, this is the first in a short series of videos on what's called the production possibility curve. And so in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to define what a model is and then explain a few of the assumptions regarding what the PPC or production possibility curve is. So the very first thing we're going to start off with is a definition. And the definition of a model is a simplified representation of reality with the intention of analyzing, describing, or predicting the relationships and behaviors of specific variables in a real-world situation. Essentially, what a model is a simplified view of reality. It has left out certain details in order to try to best explain in a simplified way how people act or interact with each other. That's all a model is, and that definition there is something that you're going to have to learn off. The model that we'll be looking at in this video and subsequent videos is the production possibilities curve, or PPC. Now, just to be clear, graphically it's a curve, so therefore we can graph it, but it is this black line here labeled the PPC, or production possibilities curve. That's what we're talking about, and we'll see many different examples as we go through these videos. Now, another definition that you're going to have to learn of is a curve showing the maximum combinations of goods and or services, really, that can be produced by an economy in a given period of time. Now, it's not just that, though. It's on the caveat that if all resources in the economy are being used fully, every single factor of production is being used fully to a sustainable level and efficiently. So it's not that we just give everybody a job and they just lie around and do nothing all day. All factors of production, including land, labour, capital, and enterprise, are being used fully and efficiently to their sustainable level. Also on the proviso that the state of technology is fixed. So there's a lot in that. So what I just want you to see from this is that this line here represents the maximum production. And I'll talk about all of these things now in a second. But the maximum production that our economy is capable of right now, seeing that technology is fixed, and on the two assumptions that all of our factors of production, resources, land, labour, capital, enterprise, are being used fully and efficiently. Okay, so essentially this is the upper bound limit of what our economy can produce, okay? And I'll go into it more and more in later slides, okay? Now, I do say that the PPC can be used to describe an economy or a firm, but we're, in our analysis, we're just going to be looking at an economy, all right? Now, a few quick things here. So, what do we know? And I always try and shape your thinking, and I hope you can come along with me on this on this progression through the assumptions. Well, it's not really assumptions, but trying to shape our mindset when we're looking at the production possibilities curve. We know that we have unlimited wants and therefore an unlimited desire for goods and services. So we want infinite amount. I, as a person, John Trainer, want an infinite amount of stuff, and you as another individual will want the same. All right. So the idea is we have infinite wants, but the problem is that what produces these goods and services, and I hope you would understand at this stage, the goods and services that you and I enjoy, that we go to the shops to buy, are produced by the factors of production: land, labour, capital, and enterprise. Now, are these factors of production limitless, or is their ability to produce goods and services limitless? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. If they were limitless, if we could produce limitless amounts of goods and services, there would be no need for the study of economics. And the reason is that economics studies scarcity. And scarcity essentially means we can't have everything that we want. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it means a few things. Essentially, we have to make choice, and choice means opportunity cost. Choice means giving up something to get something else. So I want you to understand that our factors of production can only produce so much, and they're not always fully used, which is an assumption of this model, and they're not always fully used efficiently, which is another assumption of this model. So at every single stage in human development, as long as we live in this universe, as I understand it at least, there will always be scarcity on the assumption that we have limitless desires, limitless wants, and our ability to satisfy those wants, factors of production, is limited. Okay, so therefore scarcity, choice, opportunity cost. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to derive what's called the production possibilities curve. Don't forget, it's the maximum amount our economy can produce given that over a period of time, goods and services, given that the state of technology is fixed and all factors of production are being used fully and efficiently. So what we have here, and don't forget guys, we have to face a trade-off, right? So we've got an economy that can produce hot dogs and hamburgers. So hot dogs are measured on this axis, the y-axis, and hamburgers are measured on this axis here. So if we devote every single factor of production, which is limited and has alternative uses, to the production of hot dogs, well then we cannot produce any hamburgers. All right, because we've said it's limited, it has alternative uses. These factors of production have alternative uses. They could be producing burgers. We're saying, how much could we make if all of our factors of production were used efficiently just in the production of hot dogs? Well, what we have here is this table says that given our state of technology is fixed over a certain period of time, let's say a year, given all of our factors of production were devoted to the production of hot dogs, then we would produce 50 hot dogs and 0 burgers. Now, I believe that that is that point there, and I think I am correct. So we've got 50 hot dogs, but 0 here hamburgers. Now, if we started to devote some factors of production to the production of burgers and hot dogs, we change what we could produce, and we would be able to produce 45 hot dogs and 10 hamburgers. Now, I believe that that is somewhere in and around there, and I think I'm correct. So we've got 45 hot dogs and we've got 10 hamburgers. I think I'm correct in putting the dot there. Now, moving on, we don't get it as perfectly on the lines, but if we devoted some more factors of production towards the production of burgers, and as such that means we would have to take those existing factors of production that were making hot dogs and use them in their alternative use to producing hamburgers, we would get 17 burgers and 35 hot dogs. And I believe that's in and around there. Okay, now moving on, if we were again to devote more of our factors of production that were producing hot dogs to producing burgers, we would be able to produce 22 and 20. Okay, so I believe that's in and around there. And then if we were to devote every single factor of production that we have with the fixed state of technology and using them efficiently, we would be able to make 25 hamburgers but no hot dogs. And that is that point there. Okay, now I have picked a number of different numbers completely off the top of my head, but I hope you understand that our factors of production are limited and they have alternative uses. So if we're going to make only hot dogs, that means we have no factors of production left to make burgers, and as such, 0 are made. If we only make burgers, we have no factors of production left to make hot dogs, and as such, 0 hot dogs are made. Now, the production possibilities curve is a curve, we can graph it, and basically it's joining the dots. Okay, now don't worry too much about the shape of it while it's curved or bowed out like that right now. But what this line represents here is all the possible combinations of hot dogs and hamburgers that our limited factors of production can currently produce given the fixed state of technology. What that means is that this is any single dot on this line represents a different combination of output, burgers and hot dogs, that our limited factors of production can be used to produce in over a period of time with the fixed state of technology. Okay, that means that every single factor of production is being used along this line and at the same time is being used efficiently. And what we want, don't forget, is we have unlimited desires for goods and services. In this case, we just got hot dogs and burgers. If you want, I saw a good generalization that we could put goods on this axis and services on this axis. But there are a key number of economic insights that we can get from this curve. But don't forget, we are making a simplified, we've got a model, it's a simplified view of reality, so we have to look at what assumptions are we making. Okay, so each economy produces 2 goods, and again, I mean, like, that's true, no problem, but you could relax that that assumption to a more generalized assumption, which is goods and services there. But right now, let's stick with hot dogs and hamburgers, and we're saying that each economy only produces 2 goods. Not true of any economy as far as I'm aware. Maybe a single person, an economy of a single person, but not in reality. Economies are far more advanced and far more complicated and produce far more than 2 goods. The goods are produced using combinations of the available resources. whatever factors of production are available, land, labour, capital, and enterprise, with a fixed amount of technology, that's what we're saying. At each moment in time, the amount of resources that the country has is fixed, and the state of technology is fixed. Each country each economy is producing two goods, okay? There's only a certain amount of resources available, finite number of factors of production, we know that. We said the amount of resources, the amount of factors of production is fixed, and the state of technology is fixed. The points on the curve mean that all resources in the economy are fully employed, but not just fully employed and efficiently used. Okay. Now, the last slide in this, and I'll just go through quickly, right? What we can do is, this model, just to be clear, is to show the limited but different bundles of output that we can produce with a fixed amount of inputs, a fixed amount of factors of production, a fixed amount of resources at any one time. We want to consume, and therefore as much as we can, and therefore we need to produce as much as we can, because if we increase our production, we increase our consumption. We will use this model in later videos to show a few things. Efficiency, and unemployment of resources. Don't forget, we're assuming that any combination of hot dogs and hamburgers that exists along this line, which is the production possibilities curve, or otherwise known as production possibilities frontier, means that we're using all of our resources, all of our factors of production, efficiently. Unemployment usually refers to people, labour. But when I say unemployment, I'm talking about unemployment of any factor of production, okay? Actual and potential growth, scarcity, opportunity, cost, and choice. So in the later videos, what we will do is examine each of these in turn. And I hope you just remember what the model is. It's trying to show our maximum production of all different combinations of consumer goods, hot dogs and hamburgers, that our limited factors of production can produce with a fixed state of technology, assuming all factors of production are used and all factors of production are used efficiently. Thank you so much, guys. I hope this video helped, and I hope to see you in the next one.